G'day. Today we're going to make a pressed fruit and nut bread. First, it was my mum's birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, Mum. Happy birthday, Nanny.
Happy birthday.
Hope she had fun. Today's fruit and nut bread, it's an accompaniment that I put on all my cheese platters when I'm doing functions for groups. It's a cheese bread that I think is awesome. It goes with all sorts of cheeses. Anyone who has it, or even my servers, waitresses, they gobble up and take home all the leftovers. It is pretty awesome. Now to start, what I like about it is any fruit that you have laying around in your cupboards, don't throw it away if it's old. It can be used perfect for this recipe. Today we have dried figs, dried apricots, dried plums, a mixture of dried pineapple and papaya, and dried cranberries. Also have a mixture of walnuts, almonds. If you want to do this as gluten-free, you can just use a gluten-free all-purpose flour. However, we're just going to make it with normal flour today. And part of this is we're using 2 cake tins that we have buttered and floured. At the end of the baking process, as soon as they come out of the oven, you need to have a couple of tins that are going to fit inside each other, because I'm going to use them to press down the top of that fruit and nut bread and get rid of all the air that's in it after it's baked. So we'll start the process and show you how to do that. So we're going to start by creaming our butter and sugar, and we have 250 grams of butter that's at room temperature. And we're going to cream it until it's white and creamy. And then we have 250 grams of white sugar. Most of it's got to go in the bowl.
Oh, not good.
Now we're going to take up the bowl and then turn it on. 1 speed below high. Well, let's start out slow, so the butter and the sugar combine first. Otherwise we might have butter flying out of the machine. I'm going to turn it up a little higher. Now it's starting to combine. You can see now the butter and the sugar is combined and it's starting to cream. So what we're going to do is turn it up fast, and we're going to whip this butter and cream together until it turns white and that yellow is gone from the butter. So we've been whipping the butter for around 4 to 5 minutes. You see that we whipped the air into it and it's nice and light, so that yellow color has disappeared. All that I'm doing is wiping down the edge now, because we want to get it off the sides. We'll turn it on for another minute before we add our cinnamon and allspice to it. So the butter's white and creamy. Now we're going to add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon.
It smells good.
It does smell good. And then we'll add 1 teaspoon of allspice. And then we're just going to turn it on slow to start with, so the dry spices will combine. And then we're going to turn it up. And we'll whip those spices into the white butter. And turn it up, just like before. So we've whipped our spices, cinnamon and allspice, into the butter. Now what we're going to do is turn the machine back on and add 1 at a time 4 egg yolks. So now our 4 egg yolks are in, and we're just going to take our butter out butter mixture out and save it in a bowl on the side. And we're going to wash our bowl and get it ready to whip our egg whites. Now for the rest of the fruit and nut bread, we have our dried fruits. It's 100 grams of dried figs, dried apricots, dried plums, 100 grams of mixed dried pineapple and papaya, and dried cranberries. We have 50 grams of dried toasted coconut, 200 grams of mixed walnuts and slithered almonds, 200 grams of plain flour, and 100 grams of almond flour. And what we're going to do is combine the dried fruits in the bowl, the nuts, coconut, plain flour, and our almond flour. So essentially all the dry ingredients are in the bowl, and we're just going to slowly tilt the bowl and slowly mix all the flour, dried fruits, nuts, everything. All the dry ingredients are going to get combined together. Then we're going to be folding our whipped butter, whipped egg whites, and the dry ingredients together to finish the basic fruit and nut bread cake mix before we bake it. Now we need to whisk our 4 egg whites for this recipe. So Danny's going to pop those in the bowl and whisk them up.
And make sure the bowl is very, 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 very clean.
Very clean and very dry. And we're just going to whisk them to soft peaks. So there we have our 3 mixed ingredients. Our whipped butter with the spices, our folded dry ingredients, and now our soft egg white peaks. So what we do now is basically, I'm using our kitchen pot. It's big enough to do this in because we didn't have a big enough mixing bowl. So we take first our dry ingredients and we add our whipped butter to those dry ingredients, and we're going to mix those in first. I'm just going to use a wooden spoon. Some people are comfortable just using their hand because people will say hands were invented before wooden spoons.
It is true.
Some people find that unhygienic. So take a wooden spoon and we just mix our butter, whipped butter, and the dry ingredients together until it forms one mass. And like Danny, I gotta try and keep it all in the bowl.
So at least I'm not the only one.
No, you're not the only one. So the mixture is nice and thick. And for this recipe really is, the hand is better. It's going to be so much better for you. So Daniel, you've washed your hands, I hope?
No. Yes.
Sure. So Daniel's going to use his hand to mix this, and we're going to add 1/3 of egg whites at a time.
It looks like a pillow.
Mm-hmm. So you just need to use straight fingers, one hand, so you can hold one hand with the bowl, and straight fingers, stiff, and just go in there and mix the egg white into the mixture. And it's not going to be easy, so you're going to have to be aggressive with it. Is it fun?
Yeah.
And you want to go all the way to the bottom and fold it back over the top. And you don't have to be too gentle, because this recipe, what we're essentially doing is mixing in the egg whites. And it's going to add protein. So that protein cooks out, and then you've got the base for that cake. Because at the end of it, we are going to squash it and get all the air out of it. Let it cool down. We'll then refrigerate it for a few hours so it's hard and cold, and then we'll show you the presentation where we slice it and serve it with some cheese. That's looking good. Yep. And you can see that keep going, it's moistening up a little bit because of the egg whites, and it makes it a little bit easier to mix.
It's hard.
Yeah, you want to try and wipe your mixture off your fingers. So if your kids like getting down and getting dirty, this is a good recipe for them. The egg whites are incorporated. I'm just going to split this in two. And we'll split it between the two tins. And what we're going to do is just smooth down the top and push it in so it's nice and flat. It will rise a little bit. Then it's going to take his spatula and he'll just flatten that mixture out so it's nice and flat like a pancake without rubbing up on the sides of the tin where we've floured and degreased it. And just push it down into the corners. And make it nice and even. After this bakes, like I said, we will refrigerate it after it cools. And when you press it down, we're going to have all those different fruits pressed down together, and when it cools, the protein and the butter in the mixture is going to keep that all together for slicing later to have with our cheese. How's it look? Just want to make sure we get it in the corners good. And it's nice and even. We're going to cook those at 320 degrees Fahrenheit. They're going to be in the oven on a bake cycle with no fan for an hour and a half. Our fruit and nut bread have been cooking for an hour and a half on 320 degrees. They've just come out of the oven. I placed them on the baking sheet in the oven. So what we do, they've literally just come out. They're really, really hot. And like I said, you want 2 loaf pans that are the same size. If you have a third cake tin, that's even better. Now what we're going to do is leave one on the bottom. We're going to place one on top. And I'm literally using all my weight to press it down, and we are going to squash that whole top tin into the bottom one and knock all the air out of it. And you can see it's shiny on the top, so you've actually got the butter that's coming to the surface on this. Then we're going to reverse them up because we need to squash them down. You can just press all the way around. Like I said, if you had a third cake tin, you could use that. But we're just improvising with both of them now. And you want to continue to push and do it a couple of times for each. So we're just pressing all that fruit while it's hot, as low as you can. So if you that looks pretty good. Last one for that one. Now we've flattened them out, and we have that. All the areas out, we've flattened them. We're just going to leave those to cool around 10 minutes. We'll turn them out. Then I wrap them up in plastic wrap. We'll refrigerate them until they go cold. Then we'll slice those and present it with cheese. It's cooled down for 10 minutes. And we're just going to pop it out. It'll still be warm. Give it a knock. Comes out. And then we're just going to lay it on the plastic wrap and we're going to wrap it up. Okay, and then we'll take out another. Yep, it's perfect. We'll move it to the side here, and we'll wrap it again. And then this time we can take it this way. And we'll wrap it. Now we're just going to refrigerate these. You want to refrigerate them for 2 to 3 hours minimum, and it's okay to do it overnight. We left our fruit and nut bread in the refrigerator overnight, so it's cold, it's set up really nice. It's nice to take it out and cut it, place it on the plate, however you're going to use it, and let it come to room temperature. Just like wine tastes better at room temperature, the spices of the dried fruit in the fruit and nut bread also taste great. So that's why putting it on a cheese platter that sits out works well. You don't have to have this with cheese, of course. You can just have it with a cup of tea, however you want to have it as a snack, anything like that. We're going to cut this and just put it on the cheese plate. I usually cut it into strips. And then I'll go turn it on its side. But this is a recipe too that's not difficult. As you saw, it was just mixing the ingredients, baking it, and pressing that down as soon as it was hot out of the oven. It's simple to make. Everyone loves it, so you'll impress your friends. It's really healthy. You know, so many fruit and nut breads you buy today, commercial in the store. There's so many preservatives in them because they need to last, they need to have a shelf life. So the food we try to cook, it's simple, it's natural, and you can just enjoy eating healthy food without all the preservatives. There you have it, our fruit and nut bread, pressed fruit and nut bread. The best part too about this recipe that I really like is you can wrap it in aluminum foil or plastic wrap, keep it in a Ziploc bag, but you can keep it in your refrigerator for up to 4 to 6 weeks and it's just fine. Take it out and cut it as you need it. So that's a great part about the recipe. But enjoy. It's pretty good. I know we like it. And it's just one of those things that looks difficult, but it's really not, and your friends are gonna love it. Mm-hmm.